Hey guys, Terry Red here, and in this video I wanted to do kind of like a deep dive of the new trailers we got, the new gameplay footage for Silent Hill 2 Remake that just came out during the Sony State of Play and the Silent Hill transmission in May 2024. We've been waiting a long time to see actual gameplay, and we finally got it. And I did my live reaction to it. Which the one thing I wasn't happy about was the quality of the video stream was really bad, but everyone had to deal with that. So I wanted to kind of take a couple days to digest what I saw, and then come back and go through and do a deep dive with a higher quality video so that you guys can see, and I can kind of talk about things I see as someone who is a big fan of this series, but also Silent Hill 2 in particular, it was my first Silent Hill game. It basically changed my life, and I played it way back when it first came out 22 plus years ago on PC, and I've played every Silent Hill game ever since, and I've been a huge fan ever since. So this remake game coming out is very important to me. So I wanted to kind of just do a deep dive of all the fine details and things I've noticed that I obviously couldn't talk about or pick up during my React video. And what you're seeing right now is the very first look we had 1.5 years ago on the announcement trailer on the first Silent Hill transmission. And so you can kind of compare what you're seeing now to what was in the newest videos that just came out, because the game's coming out October 8th, which is freaking awesome. So I'm super, super happy about that. So I just wanted to, for fun, kind of go through like I have before, and just go through all the details, things I've noticed as a super fan, and other details I want to point out or think about in terms of the changes to the gameplay mechanics. This being a more modern game, how that's different than the original game, and whether it may be a good or bad thing for certain things. So that's the kind of stuff I want to go through in this video. So yeah, so a lot of things I can tell you straight up are very much the same as what we saw in this first video. Like the quality, everything else. A lot of people did not believe what you see right now is actual real time game footage, but it is. Now I don't know if that was on a PC or not, or if that was on a PS5. That could have been on a higher end PC. So we don't know for sure. Whereas the newer videos were on a PS5, right? So yeah. So the new game on a PC should look way better than what we've seen in the video trailers. So I'm just going to go through the state of play one first. Yeah, that's this one here. So as you can see here, it says right there, captured on PS5, mix of gameplay and cinematics, but this is all real-time graphics. Nothing is pre-rendered. It's all Unreal Engine 5, all the actual game. And this is beautiful. Like, look at that, man. Like, that's freaking amazing. I absolutely love that.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. I was just...
It's okay. I didn't mean to scare you.
So I'm going to talk more about Angela in a bit, but first thing I wanted to point out was this scene here is the famous scene in the original game that you actually found the radio, and you got your first weapon, which is the wood plank, and you met your first monster. And, that's this scene here in the first game. You would go in here, you'd kind of find the radio, and then the monster would appear, and then you'd fought him in here, but I always felt that scene was kind of a little goofy in some ways, like he could have just stepped right out and ran away. He wasn't exactly trapped, whereas in the new one, we'll talk about it when we get there, it's a little different. Whereas on here, they have it completely blocked off, and then it looks like you have another passage to kind of go around. So this is a little different than it was.
Kind of lost. I'm looking for Silent Hill.
So the post office, huge compared to the original. This is the original post office. As you can see, like that's Bar Neely's, and that's significantly smaller in comparison. So I'm wondering if this is going to play a much bigger role, in the new game. Because the new game may have, well, they did say it's been expanded. So there's probably going to be some newer, side stories, newer locations that will have maybe more backstories for certain characters. Who knows what? Which I think it's great. I think that's what I wanted actually.
I think you should stay away.
All right, so we're going to talk about Angela because apparently this has been a big blow up over the last couple of days since these first videos came out. Now, there's only one particular shot of Angela that, to me, looks out of place. This looks fantastic. This is exactly what I expected Angela to look like, because she's actually 18 or around 17, 18-ish years old. She's a teenager. A lot of people didn't know that. Like in the original game, she doesn't really come across as a teenager. She comes across as someone who's older. A lot of people thought she was like in her 30s, based on the way because of the voice and just the way she talked and acted and all that, Now, as far as her voice acting and the dialogue, it is odd compared to everyone else that sounds more natural, but that's intentional. She's supposed to be very introverted, very socially awkward, very unpredictable because of her personality, her character, and her backstory. So that's normal, okay? Now, as far as her look,
This town, there's...
well, here, actually, I'll get back to her again because I was going to talk about that. I'll get back to her, but I wanted to point out one thing. Satellite dishes. So the real question is, what year is this taking place? In the original game, you got the impression it was most likely in the 80s or perhaps early 90s, possibly. Now, I noticed these satellite dishes, which I don't think I ever saw in the original game. Now, satellite dishes like that didn't exist until like the early to mid 90s. That's when they first started coming out. So I don't know if they're saying that this is going to be in the mid 90s maybe. I mean, it could be. You never know. So I just found that curious that no one kind of picked that up. But I'm electronics, IT, comms, tech for 25 years, right? So I work with this stuff. So as far as that's concerned,
Is it dangerous?
Maybe.
I'll be careful.
now see there, she looks perfect. That's exactly how she should look. Nothing wrong with that.
I'm not lying.
Now, this is the problem. This is the shot that everyone's blowing up about. Now, to be clear, there's nothing wrong with her model. Nothing wrong with the way she's looking, but this particular shot is uncanny. For some reason, it just, out of everything we've seen, this just stands out big time. And especially compared to her model in other scenes that we've seen where she looks a lot better. So there's something about either the lighting or the textures, I don't know what, but it looks very different here compared to everywhere else, and it just doesn't look right. So this one, I only agree with this looking odd compared to all the other footage. But as far as her character, you got a lot of real, extremely, well, a lot of rude people out there, complaining that, she looks like she's gained some weight and all this other stuff. No, she doesn't. She looks like a real person, for frick's sakes, guys. And the difference is she's got a turtleneck. So whereas the original model did not, that turtleneck is covering her neck, and that's probably intentional, based on her character and her backstory. It makes a lot of sense to do that. The problem is that it kind of makes it look like she has not much of a neck because of that, right? So like if you go back to like this shot here, you can't see her neck. She looks fine. She looks normal, but you can't see her neck. Whereas if you look at the original model image, like see, this is her later on, and this is her in the original. They both look very similar. The difference is you can actually see her neck here. She doesn't have a turtleneck, whereas on this one, she has a turtleneck that's covering everything, so you can't see her neck at all. So I think that's why it just looks so uncanny compared to what we're used to, right? And this is also the CG image. The in-game character looks very different, in my opinion. You know, like see how she looks here? Like, and she's got again a long neck that's not covered at all. You know, like so you compare that to, you know, her here, that turtleneck covers her entire neck, which you would see more of there. And I think that's all it is. Now, I'm not going to deny that, you know, that other shot is uncanny. You know, like it is. It's very uncanny and it throws people off, you know. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I think she looks fine. You know, I think it's just this one shot that they should fix up. The rest that we've seen of her looks and sounds great, actually. Like her voice acting is on par with what she should.
I'm going.
So this is a completely new area. This is actually a an area we've never been to before, Lakeside Diner, and it's an area of the town we've never been to before. Now, what's also interesting is it's raining like crazy outside. Silent Hill 2 never had that except for maybe at the hospital, I think, and 2 locations at the hospital, in the garden, outside, and maybe on the rooftop. I can't remember, to be honest. But as far as anywhere else in the game, and at the end, towards the end of the game, there's one location that it was raining as well. But that's about it. So in the town, we never saw rain like this. It was only darkness or fog. We didn't get an Otherworld in the city streets or anything like that, like we did with the first game, right? So and this visual aesthetic is similar to the first game when you had the Otherworld appear. So this whole section might be like a side story, maybe for Angela, because some of the guys in the Silent Hill group said that a Silent Hill novelization went into her backstory, and this is where she worked as a job, apparently. So we're probably going to go into some possible abuse or other things she went through here as well. So that's why this is kind of being like an Otherworld, maybe her Otherworld here instead of, you know, what James is seeing. So I'm looking forward to this. Like, you know what I mean? This is all new stuff. So this is all new. And see, she looks great there. You know, she looks sad and pouty, but I mean, she's cute. I don't know, you know, she looks fine there. You know, and like this looks awesome. You know, it's kind of like a mix. You know, it's not exactly the same as the other Otherworld locations. You have the grates on the floor, and also you have sheets. So it's kind of a mix up of them both put together. You know, and then you're in the diner, which again, this looks like it's already in an Otherworld. You know, okay. Oh, perfect. So this is something else I wanted to talk about. Now, a lot of people are trying to talk about, they think that they were trying to, and I'll get back to talking about Maria, about how they think they're desexualizing Maria or some of the monsters. And, well, for the monsters, it's the total opposite. They're actually sexualizing them even more than they were before. Because before, they did have like these kind of like platform boot type feet, but they were part like of the monster. Like you didn't actually see that at all. It was just a foot basically. You could see the shape of a thong, but that's about it. And on some of these lying figures, you also see actual like nylon skin textures built in, you know. So they're actually more sexualized in the new game than they were in the original. See, like, yeah, you can see it clear as day. And that's in the same location. So they're, you know, going to be attacking you before you get into the building. And then now we have a whole bunch of bugs, which Unreal Engine 5, that's kind of like a feature. So that makes doing this easy. So they obviously made use of that. Because the original creeper bugs in Silent Hill 2 were kind of a little bigger, but they weren't scary. They were more unnerving and annoying because they made kind of like a squeak toy sound, like a squeak, 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 squeak. And it's just like, go away, you're annoying. And I know that's kind of part of it. It's like you don't know where they're coming from, but you know, I'd rather have something like that instead. Now I assume this is at the prison. It certainly looks like a prison. But if you look, it's hard to tell. I think that's a mannequin monster crawling up the walls. And if it is, like maybe they're going to be crawling up the walls and then maybe crawling along the ceilings as well. If that's the case, that's actually very cool. Like, you know, it kind of makes sense for a mannequin monster because they don't, you know, they got weird well, it's all legs, you know. So it'd be interesting to see if they add that functionality to it, because they are adding more to these monsters than they had before, which I think is awesome. To be honest, there's different variants and all that, right? So we might see more to that, or it's a Mandarin variant. I don't know for sure, because that's what we're seeing here. This is the Mandarin. This is that passageway. The only time in Silent Hill 2 where you have something that looks Otherworld-like, with the grates on the floor and that, it's like one passageway when it's all darkness, and you see the Mandarins underneath the grates, trying to kind of poke up at you. And the Mandarins are actually the closer monster in Silent Hill 3. So they were kind of repurposed for Silent Hill 3 because they were originally made for Silent Hill 2. They're literally almost the exact same monster. It's just here they're hanging instead of, walking with their big arms, and they've repurposed them or not repurposed, but gave them some kind of shockwave ability, so when they seem to attack you here, which is cool. Like, I'm glad we're getting more, because they kind of just weren't a big thing in the original. You kind of ran by them more than anything.
I'll be good, I promise. Tell him I'll be good, please.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt that, but so we obviously know what scene this is going to be for those who have played the game. I'm trying not to spoil anything. I think this is great, the way she's acting. Like, she's acting like, the kind of character she's supposed to be. And that's the abstract daddy attacking James in the initial area, and it looks like he's smashing him through the wall. And now we get a bigger open area for a battle, which is expanded upon. Like, you can see, like, gears here, the fan up top, like all this industrial stuff. So another world look, So, and you see the pistons on the wall, like in the original. So, in this abstract daddy, the animation and the scream and then the shockwave shout that he also has, I love it. That's awesome.
No, please.
That's way better than that battle in the original. Way better, in my opinion. Way better. The battles in the original, for most of them, for the bosses, it was just like a static room, and you kind of just ran to the corner. You had barely any room to walk around. They just, they were not memorable. They were barely functional. They weren't really anything, you know what I mean? So having that expanded would be way better. So I'm very, very, very happy about that. So now that we went through that, we'll go through the actual gameplay trailer. Okay, so this is the actual full gameplay and much better quality compared to the live stream, right? So this is the opening of the game, which looks perfect. Like absolutely perfect. So much nicer than the original in terms of detail. So this is probably the main path going along, kind of like I don't know if it's like a cliffside or something like that on the way into town. That long road you have to take. And, well, that's Big J's, and I can show you where that is in the original. That is right here. See, so it looks a little different, but that's my point. I want to have the iconic locations, but, have them more detailed and kind of, updated and all that. Because these, the way these stand out kind of never made sense to me. I guess you could have cars park in there, but you know what I mean? Like, this design was kind of weird. But maybe some cities had that, you never know. Because I don't know if they are sticking to that with this here, but... And look, you can see that, like, all the wind making the lights move around. And yes, I'm fine with them having wind in there. It's way better than just having nothing at all. And, I know some people want it to be otherworldly by having no wind. Like, no, like, you can have that stuff in there. That's fine. So... I was just there, actually, so that's the big groovy music, or I love groovy music there, so that's the same location.
Our special place. What could she mean?
So the only big difference between the very first trailer is James' hair is just kind of lightened up a little bit. Really,
This whole town was our special place.
He's not that much different. Now, Maria looks fantastic. I'll talk more about her later, but I think she looks great. Like, I totally thought that was Maria.
You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did.
Look at that. Water caustics and animation. Like, that's all real time, you know. That looks amazing. And that's obviously him going into the hotel.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary.
Like, that's harder stuff to pull off than you think.
Mary died of that
leaves
damn disease 3 years
doing
ago.
that, and then you can see their shadows.
Is she really
They're all
alive?
over the place. They're bouncing off, acting like naturally. The reflections are really good. Like, they're actual ray traced reflections. They're not just screen space reflections, which is good. Now, I can tell you, I know where this location is because of this guy right here and those buildings. This is those town houses at the very beginning. So when you get into town, you come down the road and you make the first right turn, and that's where you see the lying figure is right here. So then you follow him, and then you come down this road, eventually leading your way to this part. Now in this game, they're not quite doing that, but you do start off here because that's where this dude is. See, he's right there. And look at the road, like the wear on the paint and the cracks, and like just look at it. All the effort.
Is this?
And that's the first blood stain you see, you know, and you follow it, and you'll eventually see a lion figure, which is what they're probably doing here. A different location than before, but that's okay because it takes us back through the more detailed town instead of just kind of like a back underpass, right? You know, it's different. You know, it is different, but I'm okay with that. This looks great. Like, this detail is fantastic.
Hey, wait.
Now, I'll admit, that voiceover out of the entire footage we've seen, that I get rid of that. I don't know, it just sounds so awkward to me. You know, hey, wait, you know, just not have him say anything. You know, I've heard other dialogue with him. That's fine, but now the running people are saying it's a little awkward. It's fine. Like, you know, I mean, he's not. Again, this is not like a Resident Evil game where these are commandos and, you know, people who are like going to run in a very commando professional, you know, combat fashion. No, he's just a dude running through the street, you know, or walking, you know, like, what else do you want him to do? Like, I don't know, you know, I don't know what people expect. Like, it's the frame rate of the game that makes it look odd, not his actual animation. Like, the 30 frames per second is what makes it look more odd than anything else. So, yeah, so instead, you're following the blood trail here. Now, why would any fool want to do this? And this is new. We've never had anything like that before, so that's kind of cool. But, yeah, why would any fool want to do that? I mean, it's James. That's what he does, right? And this is like some rundown place. I don't know if this is you know, just a house, maybe, you know, just a normal house. So obviously this is different. We didn't find a radio here before. We found it in the underpass before, but I'm fine with that because this kind of makes a better setup in my opinion. Looks better, more space to fight an actual. And then you got the lying figure there. Now here it looks fine, but it's got that, you know, that weird sort of zip up, you know, like, I don't know if that's like well, actually I know what that's like what Masahiro Ito always has on a lot of his monsters, sort of like the, you know, the leather tie-up straps or whatever you want to call it, you know, like even Pyramid Head, I think, had something like that in the back, you know? or was it one guy who sent over. So, you know, this is similar. Now, some people thought this looked a little odd. It's fine. I mean, yeah, he looks like he's getting ready for baseball, but it's fine. I mean, it's a lot better than the original game where he kind of just, yeah, kind of thing, you know? Like, so, I mean, he looked scared. He was like, what the hell? So, the goo is fine because it doesn't stay very long and it goes away. That's better than what we saw in the combat trailer. The only issue I have is the textures of these stitchings are a little odd compared to the rest. It just can't. But the combat, again, like, you know, he did 3 different hits, complete different hits. It's not just the same hit over and over again. And the monster reacted appropriately each time. So again, the combat is fine. It's just the frame rate of the video, the game. If it was 60 frames per second or higher, I think it would look a million times better. See, like a simple dodge, he just jumps out of the way. You know, because we didn't have projectiles before. Yes, they would spray at you, but it was more of a, you know, stationary thing, right? You know, and you couldn't dodge to the left or right. Not really, you know what I mean? Like not a proper dodge, you know? So, I mean, I like that because you have actual projectiles coming at you through the air, not just in one stationary spot. See, like, that looks fun. Now, the only part that looks to me odd is him bashing down. Like, it's just too quick and too there's not much of a wind up, right? Like having more of a big wind up and then smashing down like in the original, I think would look a little better. But the rest is fine. The more I watch it, the more it actually looks a lot better. It's so jarring because when you're not playing this, you're not connecting to it. So watching it looks odd. I felt the same way about Hellblade 2. And I just completed that game, and I loved it. You know, playing that game is very different than watching someone play it. The combat in that is actually really excellent. And this is kind of going for a similar vibe as well with that. And I love that you can smash the back windows. So maybe you'll be able to, you know, open things and look in more places to find stuff. So this is different. I don't know if you can just see it. Okay, so you can barely see it, but they have a pop-up that shows your health drink or syringe, you know, when you collect them. So now at first I was like, I don't know if I like that, or any text popping up, but the original had that. You know, if you collected anything in the original, the game would freeze, literally freeze, and it would say, you got a health drink, and it would do the doo-doo. Now, I want that sound to come back, and you can barely hear it here, so I hope they make that much more, you know, you can hear it a lot more. So, I get the idea of what they're doing for, though. And you can drink it on the fly. You don't have to go to an inventory screen. Now, some people may love that, some people may not. It really depends on, are they going to make it so that the inventory screen is like a pause screen, a safe screen? Because before, you were able to just hit your inventory screen, manage your health, manage your weapons, manage your ammo, look at your items, and the game would not have anything happen to you. So you could do that at any time in the middle of a fight or anything whatsoever, and you'd be fine, you'd be safe. I wonder if they're not going to have that here, if they're going to have it, you know, where you can toggle through your inventory in the same screen, right? So, like, and when you pick up anything, they're not going to a separate screen and collected. So again, collected matchbook. Originally, it would have said you got a matchbook, and it would freeze the game. You know, nothing would move or anything like that. You know, and it would do the doo-doo. You know, so they're trying to do a similar but more seamless integration of that instead of having it switch back and forth. And we know what that body of the ground is, any of us who played it. And then, now this I'm not keen on, these prompts for things. I hope we can turn that off. Past Bloober games, they have let you turn off a lot of these indicators and things like that. They've been pretty good about having lots of options you can turn on and off for graphics and for the interface. So I'm hoping they allow you to turn off almost everything, because I don't want, if I had a choice to turn one thing off, it would be these indicators and the ammo indicator later on, which we'll get to. Now this I love, that, you know, they just integrate it so that you're not going to a separate screen. So before, if you picked up anything, it would then go to a separate screen, and then you would just read the text on that, and then you'd have to go back. Whereas now they're kind of making it more seamless. The real question is, how will you have access to any notes you had before or any items you picked up? Will there be an inventory screen? We'll have to find out. Yeah, because see, I'm trying to look for an inventory screen on the buttons there, and I'm not seeing it. Oh, flip! You can flip it. Interesting. So there could be stuff on the back, which is how the medium did stuff as well, because you want to rotate stuff around. Now this is, you know, just like the original, you know, just obviously a lot better looking.
What you got there?
None of your business. You didn't love Mary anyway.
What? Hey, wait!
So they cut the dialogue down a little bit, which some people may or may not like, unless they just did that for the video. They, maybe it's longer in the game. But one thing I noticed, it looks like he's got a birthmark here or something like that.
How do you know her name?
Unless that's dirt, but it looks like he's got a birthmark or something there. So we have a new look to the front of the hospital, but really nice. And then we got Maria and James. Now I'll be talking about her in a minute. See, I love how this is all seamless. Now having the text pop up in the bottom, I guess that's okay. It's one of those things that it's new and different. We're not used to it in the old game. So some people may be like, I don't like that. And I get it. You kind of want nothing in the HUD, and they've done a great job for most of it. Whatever stuff that does show up, even the stuff that's similar to the original game, has been very minimal, and I appreciate that.
Where did she go?
All right, so here's the second thing everyone's blowing up about on the internet over the last couple of days is Maria's look. Now, her clothes have been changed up a little bit from the original. I didn't even think about it when I watched this the first couple times. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Maria. It didn't even occur to me that, oh yeah, her clothes are different. I'm like, well, okay. But to some people it's a big deal because the outfit she wore was very specific to being the same as Christina Aguilera at the MTV Teen Awards, and I didn't even know this until many years later after I played this game a bunch of times, you know what I mean? So I had no idea, So for some people, maybe growing up, they associate this with that, and that's a big fond memory for them, so they consider this a very sexy look because of the midriff, because of the actual outfit. Whereas in the game, it's still the same spirit. She still has the same, a maroon top. She still has a short skirt, and she still has the high boots, similar hair, but she doesn't have a midriff, So, I mean, and in the game, I mean, like, there's times where she doesn't look that great in the game either. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I get it. I understand why a lot of people didn't like that change, Maybe she'll change up later on in the game after certain events happen. I doubt it, but you never know. Or maybe there will be an unlockable skin that you can toggle for the OG Maria. You can be guaranteed the PC version, there's going to be mods. Oh, there will be mods. They'll have Midriff Maria mod or something like that, So, yeah. So, I get it. Not the end of the world, but, she totally looks like a very sexy woman. Yes, I get it. She's not looking like an overly sexualized look like this, but she still looks like a very sexy version of the person she's trying to be mimicking, if you will. I'm trying not to spoil things. So yeah, I think it's fine, but I can understand why some people didn't like the change.
I don't know.
But
Let's look around.
But I totally think she's cute, though. She's totally cute and sexy. For me, she is. Now that's another big change here is the map. So in the original, when you got a map, and you wanted to look at it, it would just switch to a different screen for the map, and then you'd have to pan around on it or zoom in and out. Whereas on this, they're doing very much like Silent Hill Downpour, which basically had the map pop out live right in the middle of the game instead of having to switch to a different screen back and forth. So you could see the indicator here, and it'll probably update everything like it did here. So I think that's great. I actually have no problem with that. That's actually that can actually look really cool. The idea of what they're going for is they're trying to have it so that you don't go to the inventory screen at all, if there is one, to keep you in the game the whole time. The question is, if you go to this map, can you get attacked? Because in the original game, just like the inventory screen, you were safe when you were looking at the map. So it may change your gaming strategy because you're going to have to possibly go to a safe room to look at something that may be important for you, right? So that's a big difference in gameplay, which is actually good, in my opinion. And then it tells you you collected a map instead of saying you got a map.
This place feels so empty. More than the other places we've been.
So more than the other places we've been. So it's possible you may have been to other locations before even getting here. The only real places you've been to is Pete's Bolorama, but she never went in with you in the original game. You went in, met Eddie, and Laura, but then Laura ran off. And then you and Maria were trying to chase after Laura because she's acting like, we gotta go check on her. She's not gonna be safe. So people are wondering, why isn't Maria acting all sexy and vixen-like? Well, at this point in the game, even in the original, she's only concerned about finding Laura. She's acting very motherly-like, not her sexy vixen-like. And there's a reason for that, which I won't spoil. So for what we're seeing here, she's absolutely acting properly in character, because people were complaining about that, like as if she's not being all her sultry, sexy self. Well, at this point in the game, she's not supposed to be. And see, I like that when you pick up notes, it just brings it right into you without switching back and forth, And look at these details, man. Like, my gosh, like, I could just sit around and look at the details in every room here like crazy, man. And it's like that with all Bloober's games. Like, Layers of Fear, the new one, is stunning. The Medium, the same thing. I would just look around at everything, And I like this. They're using her as a way to kind of drive a narrative forward, to bring your attention to something, So you're going to go look over at what she's looking at. Now, again, I don't like these indicators. I hope we can turn those off, because Jane's head should be moving left, right to look at items of interest. And they have shown him doing that. So, if they give that as an option, you can still find everything. And I love that, nurses in training and all their faces are scratched out. That's a cute little, addition there. And I like how the music changes when you do that. But yeah, like, Jane's head is looking around at things of interest. So, you know what I mean? There's no reason to have those indicators, or at least give us the option to turn them off, please. Bloober, if anyone there is listening, please give us the option to turn those things off. Give us the option to turn off almost everything in the HUD possible, except for the stuff you have to have enabled. Now, a lot of people were talking about the lighting, about this lighting. It looks beautiful, right? They're like, oh, I love the difference in lighting. Some people were thinking that lighting is from outside, that it's that color. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that's just the dirt on the window. You know what I mean? Like the grime and the dirt. If you ever see old windows like that, they will get like that. They'll get all yellowy and maybe rusty or dirty, and then it changes the light coming in to this type of color. Because you could see other windows, like when the window was open, actually. Where was it? Yeah, you can see right here, actually. Yeah, see, like, the light is normal here. You can see in those parts it's normal, but through here it's all colored. So, yeah. That's my theory, and I'm going with it.
There.
And see,
Laura!
She looks
Wait!
fantastic. Now, some people were complaining about,
It's okay. We don't want to hurt you.
You can't have all three of them in the same spot, because maybe Laura's not supposed to be seeing Maria, only James is, and but the difference is she didn't respond to Maria, so we weren't given that impression that, it works fine in that scene. You know what I mean? If that's what people are worried about, it's fine, they didn't actually interact with each other. She just ran off after seeing James, right? So now we have the great...
Where is that girl?
Kira's music kicking in. And you heard him narrate. That's new. Now, we heard that before when he said, hey, stop. That sounded horrible. But here, it's fine. I can get used to that. I'm fine with it as long as it's not overly done with literally everything he sees. They did that in Silent Hill Shattered Memories, and it worked well there. And see, like, the nurses are not responding to the sound, so they're attracted to the sounds. I can't remember if they were actually attracted to the flash. But again, this is great because you can seamlessly go in and out of everywhere. So that changes the gameplay dramatically. And this is great. Like, we were worried initially, could you see down the hallway too much, right? Would it be not dark enough? Well, one, in this video, it's brighter than it would normally be in game, okay? Like, that's just the nature of videos encoded online. Also, you can turn the gamma levels, like darken everything in the game settings. So you're good there. So we do have a reticle, but we also have an ammo count. Now that's fine for people who like that. I hope we get the option to turn that off because I don't want to know how much ammo I have in my gun when I'm shooting. That's part of the experience because if you run out unexpectedly, you're like, oh crap. So now I got to switch to my weapon. And if we don't have an inventory screen to switch to, that, you know what I mean, as a safe space, that's a huge difference in the tension, you know, in the gameplay and all that, and the difficulty, if you will, because I want a challenge with the combat and the gameplay. The combat in the original game was easy as hell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you held down a button, it automatically locked on to an enemy, even if you couldn't see them, and you fired a button and they're dead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no challenge to that. There's no survival horror aspect to that. You know what I mean? So this is so much better in that respect. And then I love, he shot her a couple times. Now he's going to run up and he's going to start bashing her. Notice that he's going to switch instantly to his melee weapon without going to an inventory screen. So that's a new mechanic here, which is very different and very cool. The PC version of Silent Hill 2, the original, actually let you do that. You could switch to a lot of stuff because you had the extra keys and buttons, whereas on the consoles, you didn't have that function. But on the PC, you could do a lot of extra stuff. So it's cool that we're getting that in this new game. I think it is, at least. See, he just switched instantly. I love that new sound. She's just bashing. Look at that. She grabbed the pipe as a defense to block it and pushed him back. That's freaking awesome. Like, I love that we actually have monsters that are not just a bashing bag. They're actually going to fight back, you know what I mean, or defend themselves. That's actually cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually pretty neat. And you can see, like, she's getting covered in, like, detailed blood every time she gets bashed. And this is a standard nurse, just like the original. But there's other variations as well that have sexier leggings or green goop or other stuff, which I love. We're going to see, like, a lot of variety in this game. See, the dodging, you know, it's not, see, I love that. He was able to dodge just barely enough, but not like, you know, some kind of seasoned commando or anything like that. And then you can hit them in the legs to kind of stun them down, which is awesome because then you can just run up to them and smash them while they're, you know, not able to quite attack you. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. I like that. And then you can finish them again. You know, I still think that should be a little bit more of a wind-up and a slow smash, you know, and that's another thing that's new. Instead of the Ampoule, we seem to have syringes. You know, the Ampoule, I have a feeling that was a mistranslation, you know, of the original game, and they just kept using it. You know what I mean? Because what's an Ampoule? Is it? Like, I always thought it was some kind of like injector, but you know, it didn't make sense to me. But we have health drinks still, and wonderful have med kits. But you can stack them, obviously, so that's good. See, again, I don't want to see these indicators. It just ruins the immersion, you know? It's Silent Hill. We're supposed to check every door to see if they're broken, the lock's broken, or, you know, if it's locked. Like, that's part of the Silent Hill experience, right? We check every door up and down the hallway. And same thing, like the bear's there, but see, like, he will look at the item of interest when he gets close enough to them. You know what I mean? Again, great detail. Like, you know, just fantastic detail on everything. The textures, everything. Now he's picking up the shotgun. So again, here they're doing like they did in their previous games, the Medium and Layers of Fear, where when you picked up stuff, you were able to kind of inspect it. You know, which I think is cool. I love that. It's, you know, whereas in the original game, it was just an inventory screen with an image that would get bigger, and that's it, and nothing detailed. So, you know, I love this. Now they didn't show it. I hope they allow for like well, two things. To do a zoom view, a first-person zoom view, kind of like what Homecoming did, where if you click the right thumbstick, it'll then switch to a first-person view, and then you can pan around and zoom into things to see them in more detail. I hope we get to do that. And I hope we get a photo mode. I never thought that was a thing I cared about until I played Hellblade 2. And the photo mode in that is awesome. So if we could have that in this, that would be extremely cool. I mean, that was fine. Like for a shotgun, like, you know, that was fine. And the way she gets up is great. And then look at her, like she's like just got splatter damage all over. That's great. Like I was wondering if we would get decent like blood looking splatter damage, and it's very detailed. Like I love what they've done with that. It looks great. And look at that, the Jacob's Ladder head twitch. Even the original game, they had the head twitching, but not a blurred effect like that. So I love that. And also the way they twitch when you smash them down. They don't just stay there. Like, you know, they actually flinch every time you hit them. But I mean, there's so much to look at in every single room. It's like, it's just great. And yeah, see, more of these guys, you know. So lots of extra stuff to look at. And then like going through this is new, you know, like that, you know. So extra little bits like that, they really add to the game compared to the original game. The original game was fairly simple. You know what I mean? It didn't have too much for mechanical gameplay or different functions. Like it was pretty simple. And so you can see on the right side, the inventory is all showing up there. So, and I think it was like that in the medium as well. So you're just going to do your combining or using of the items here instead of doing it in a separate inventory screen. That's why I'm wondering with that, will they have it where if you hit the D-pad, it's going to scroll through your items, kind of like what Silent Hill 4 did. So now I love this. I love the fact that the monsters have empty windows from outside in this case. You know? And that's a classic line. So unlike the first one we saw, which had that stitching that kind of looked odd for the texture, this looks fantastic. Like, look at this. Yeah, that's great. And that sounds kind of like what we had in Silent Hill 4. I remember like the nurse-like things that you would hit, that they would do that, you know, kind of sound. And man, you can see all the ray trace reflections of everything. It just looks so great.
Laura,
Why
do you keep running away from me?
How these two look.
And how do you know about Mary?
He looks fantastic, and her. Oh my gosh, look at her. She's amazing.
Mary's my friend. We met at the hospital last year.
Stop lying.
The
Laura,
acting.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
Fine, don't believe me. See if I care.
Hey!
Let go.
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Hurt by what?
Look, just stay with me, okay? This is no place for a kid.
Fine. But there's something I gotta get.
Laura.
It's important.
And watch. See,
What is it?
Look at that little thing he does with his mouth. Look at it. You know, like just little details. Like in all their anime, they put so much effort into the details of their facial animation on this. Like compared to the medium, which looked excellent, but the eyes and the mouth animation was the weak point. But on this one,
Letter.
they're at another level. Like they're
Mary.
right up there. Like they're, you know, I consider Hellblade 2 probably the most beautiful game ever made right now. Absolutely very realistic game, gorgeous. Unreal Engine 5. This also uses Unreal Engine 5, and you can see some of the similarities with the facial animation and whatnot. You know, like so, like
What?
so.
I hit it.
Both of these are giving me
There.
a somewhat similar vibe and experience, right? Including the combat. The combat on this kind of reminds me of Hellblades in a way. You know, just the way they look, the way they act, you know. No visual prompts
You
for
sure
the
this is where you
combat,
left
you
it?
know, like.
It's in the back.
And we didn't have QuickTime events
Behind
that
an
we
old pipe.
saw.
Okay, wait
You know,
here.
when the lion figure attacked you. I don't know if that's going to be the case for the game. I hope that's not the case, because no one wanted them.
Haha.
Open the door, Laura.
Why should I? I'm a liar, right? Want me to open it? Huh? Do ya?
Let me out of here, you little brat!
In your dreams, fart face.
Fart face for life.
Please open the door. There's something in here.
Sure there is. A big lying fart face. See a fart face?
Laura! Laura!
Oh, the flesh lips. I don't know, man. Oh man, they make them look so gross. And there you go. You can get a bit of a look there. So yeah, that's the meat sack and the legs and the mouth and the main cage. The big difference is they have an actual like cage mesh there. I don't think the originals did. I'm pretty sure they didn't. And blinding me. So there you go. That's the end, man. Like, just so much great stuff in there. A lot of changes, a lot of differences from the original, but in terms of modernizing it, right? You know, not so much in the actual story or the experience or the sounds or visuals or that kind of thing, right? So everything I'm seeing, I'm really, really liking. You know, I think they're really doing a good job. You know, once we actually get the final product, PC players at least, we'll have we can have a smooth frame rate and it'll look really good on PC. Let's see here. I guess I just wanted to do the behind the scenes here. How long is this? That's only
I'm very excited for people to play this game. There's no one aspect that I could say that I want people to experience, because I want people to experience all of it.
I hear you.
Such a journey. It's such a big part of our lives, and I just want people to be able to see.
And that's true, man. Like, you know, like I like these videos because you know what? These are real people that work on these things. You know what I mean? Like, and the trolls, the miserable people out there that just say the most horrible things. Like, I don't know how you guys sleep with yourselves at night, man. Because like I never been one to enjoy going online to the bash and smash on creative works that, you know, people make. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
The challenge that we've had was actually how to make the game approachable for the newcomers who have not played the original, but at the same time to still retain the familiarity of the game that player remembers from 20 years ago.
Our goal from the very beginning was to maintain the game's atmosphere while modernizing the gameplay to make it competitive in 2024.
And as he said, you know, they have to take the original game, you know, modernize it, keep everything that was essential and special, but make it accessible to new players who normally, you know, wouldn't want nothing to do with tank control, static cameras, and things like that, as well as other aspects of game mechanics that are dated. A lot of aspects of the original game are dated, you know, so you have to make it, you know, appeal to people beyond the original fans that are sticklers that just refuse to change anything, you know, and you know, so that's what they're doing, you know, and I think they're doing a good job of it.
In the remake, the story remains largely the same. However, with the magic of modern technology, we're able to expand on some of its aspects.
The hardest was designing combat. We want to be as faithful as possible to the original game, but also we want players to feel satisfaction while playing, remembering that we need to fit in horror genre standards.
And some people are like, no, you don't. And I'm like, absolutely, they do. The original combat was minimal at best. It was a product of its time. You know, the developers did a fine job back in the day, but for today, it would not hold up at all and would not be acceptable by pretty much anybody except for the die-hard fans that don't want anything to change. And I think what they've done is a good mix. They've not made it too crazy combat, you know, just enough, but enough to make it fun and to give you more options. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you could do a simple dodge because we now have projectiles, that's awesome. The fact that we can, you know, shoot a monster that has legs, you know, in a leg and they fall down so that you can then go up and smash them. Like, that's cool. Like, it's not some crazy thing, but it's, you know, extra mechanics, extra strategies, if you will. You know what I mean? And you can switch back and forth on the fly, which you couldn't do that easily before. You know what I mean? Like, that's great stuff, man. Like, I think they're doing a good job. Like, you know.
So when making a game with static cameras, you as a designer have much more control over what players sees, where they go, and so on.
And that's absolutely true.
The change for the third-person perspective was a challenge.
Now you have to be able to look.
That being
up,
said,
down,
it's
everywhere.
a chance for us to expand this world, to show the players new elements that were previously inaccessible, and just make this game richer.
They wouldn't see it.
So the main thing that requires rethinking was
like what I'm showing here, you know, like all these guys here, like that's what you see in the actual game. There's nothing on the tops at all, ever. You know what I mean? So in the game, like you're way down here, and you're not seeing, you know, what's up top, right? Because you're only this big. Whereas on a modern game, you can scroll up and down and be able to see everything, right? So that they're not joking when they say it's a big challenge.
Because it was called classic in the original game, and it's a veil that covers the world and
you have to really
makes the
be
player
careful
to
about how
feel
the fog is
even more isolated.
implemented. Is it too much? Is it not enough? Is it volumetric, which just looks like it's volume? It looks fantastic. Not as simple as you think to make work well, you know. And now there are times where I think, you know, that's too much of a distance to be able to see, but I don't think that's going to be the case all the time, because at the beginning of the video, the gameplay video, you saw that we could barely see in front of us, right? Whereas I think this is just a planned area where you won't be able to have, or you could see further in only this section, but then when you go to other sections, the fog will be more restrictive, right?
New technologies gives us a chance to do things that were not possible during the earlier generations of video games. For narrative, this is very visible in facial expressions. We can tell so much through just...
See, like, look at this. Like, that's the same model for Angela that people are crying a big hissy fit over, you know. She looks great there. You know, very much like the original, you know, but it's the same model. The difference is the lighting and how this shot was done. So as everyone agrees, that one particular shot at the, you know, is odd and uncanny, but the others are fine.
The subtle changes on characters' faces.
Like, everything else looks amazing. Like,
the presented gameplay footage shows a fragment of the city from the beginning of the game,
I think that's where you're
and sections in Brookhaven Hospital.
Instead of the car.
The fight against monsters is prepared in a more tactical form,
and
it's mainly...
This is what I was talking about before, where this is a new section. You're making your way to the Lakeside Diner. This is going to be cut off, and it's all darkness, but it's raining now. Whereas the original game didn't have that, so we get extra stuff, like, you know, kind of similar to the first game, mixed in, which I'm fine with.
Based on the varied designs of the enemies. James is not used to fighting, so his arsenal of attacks is limited. Adapting your approach to a situation will be the key to success. However, your playing style, among other things, determines what ending you will discover.
Which is good, because that's how the original game was, right? So, yeah, I'm like, I think they're doing a great job. I really do. Like, there's things I could nitpick on, you know, which I have, you know what I mean? And I as long as they give lots of options for the HUD and the visual effects and stuff like that, I think that will make everyone happy. Because it would be great to have like a survival mode where you have no HUD of any sort. So you got to rely on just, you know, memorizing your ammo, memorizing what you have, and you know, James visually indicating he's injured, like, you know, things like that. That's what people would love to have, who want to have a more immersive experience.
So I'm Luke Roberts, and I'm playing James Sunderland in the remake
so there's some extra
of
stuff
Silent
they
Hill
show in
2.
here as well.
My name is Salome Gunnarsdottir, and I play Mary/Maria.
When you're playing an iconic character such as James
they've done a great
Sunderland,
job
you
of what
obviously
we've
have
heard
to
so
respect the original.
When playing these...
Like, I was surprised. I was worried like crazy that they would not sound natural, because we're so used to the original cast, right? 22 years of the same people, and they did a great job. But, you know, the acting was reflective of that time period. It was still very new for video games, and it was also done in Japan. And English voiceover actors in Japan tend to overact, like over dramatize, overemphasized, so it tends to come across as odd. And to use that kind of acting in this today, it would not fly at all, even the most diehard fans. Look at Angela. She's the closest to the original actors, dialogue, the way they carried themselves, than anyone. And everyone's saying, "Oh, her acting is weird and odd," and it's supposed to be, right? Whereas all the other characters were not supposed to be like that, right?
Characters in this game, the thing that I paid most attention to was the original game.
So he is not an action hero by any means. He is just a guy who is a little lost at the top of this game, and in a sense of...
I wonder where that's at. I have a feeling that's at the dock, maybe? I'm not sure.
He is, to a greater extent, in a bewildered state. So it's very interesting charting his journey.
This one, we're trying to honor something that's already been made. And so it's not me creating something, it's me channeling something.
See, now look, like, I don't know about you guys, but she looks absolutely cute and sexy. You know what I mean? Like, she looks the part there with the clothing and everything. Now, some people are saying, well, she's not acting sultry and her normal self. The scenes we have seen so far are scenes where she is not acting that way in the original game either. When she was wanting to chase after Laura, she was acting all, we gotta chase after her, we have to find her. She's not acting like she does in other scenes. And in this scene, I'd guess, this is them going down to the basement in the hospital. That's my guess, and that's probably why she has a concerned look on her face. We all know why. So because this is new, this looks different, but I'm pretty sure that's where this is, the basement.
The tone of this game is very important, and the team at Bloober were very keen to create an incredible atmosphere for the gamers.
I do believe that this will.
Now, I'm not sure exactly where this is, but it looks like he's not liking what he's touching here. I don't know if it's gooey stuff or if it's hot. Like maybe a monster crawled through there and that's why he's
trying its very best to capture and recapture the atmosphere, the vibe, and the story, and sometimes like the literal words and moments of the original.
See, like this is the 3D painting that leads to the basement in the hospital. You know what I mean? So.
No.
And that's the other thing. Like she should be like it's the Otherworld. She should be a little weirded out. And don't forget, she wasn't feeling good at the hospital, right? She was kind of like looking kind of like sickly and not feeling great, right? She wasn't smiling. She wasn't being sultry. There's only, getting to the hospital where she was worried about Laura, and then the basement. There were some comedic moments, and maybe they'll have those in there as well, But we've only seen some small snippets, So, yeah. So I think that's the end. The only other thing was, that's right. They had the Silent Hill website actually got updated, and they showed a little video of a couple of puzzles. So they show the safe room here. Yeah, you can see, So that's in Blue Creek Apartments. And you can see all the scribblings all over, much more detailed. I like this little green thing fixture up here. Yeah, I like that, where it's all dusty and he gets dust in his mouth. He's like, ugh. Now, I don't remember this at all, so I wonder, if this is maybe at Heaven's Night or if this is at the hotel. Is this going to be a new puzzle? And then, of course, that's the coin puzzle. And look how beautifully detailed this is. You know what I mean? Like you can see like the varnish or shellac or whatever, the finish wearing off and on the wood grain in certain parts and all that. Like those aren't just simple normal maps, right? Like this is beautifully detailed stuff. So yeah, and I think that's it. So yeah, so I guess that's all I wanted to really say there, guys. I just wanted to kind of do a deep dive of the stuff I've seen and observed. I'm sure there's other stuff I've forgotten, but you know what? I mean, to me, this is looking great. Like as a PC player, it'll look much better at a higher frame rate, so I'm super happy about that. The more I watch this, the more I'm actually really enjoying what I'm seeing because I'm understanding what they're going for now. You know what I mean? Because whenever there's any kind of change, we're not always receptive to that, right? You know what I mean? So it's going to take some adjustment. 22 years of playing a game the same way, and then now having it all changed for a modern type of game. That's going to take some getting used to, but I'm loving everything I've seen so far. You know what I mean? Like there's a few things here and there that are a little janky, but nothing that's horrible. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty happy about what I'm seeing. And you know what? All I'm going to say is the consensus out there has been a big turnaround. A lot of people who were very vocal about, they don't want to see the remake, or they're not happy with the combat trailer or what they've seen, or they're anti-Bloober team, which I've never understood that. I don't get that myself. I personally love what they made. It's not for everyone, but I personally loved it. You know what I mean? But the hate train that some people just love to go on, I don't get it. I will never engage in that crap. I feel sorry for you guys, man. You're just gonna be miserable. But so many people have completely turned around after seeing this. They're very hopeful. They're very excited. All I've been seeing, a lot of people seeing, is I'm pre-ordering. This is awesome. I'm super excited about this. I can't wait. That's a complete turnaround. And with all the crap that Bloober's had to put up with over the last year and a half, I think they need to hear that feedback more often from others. So that's why I wanted to do this video. Just to give my observations, my opinion on certain things, but to point out that I think they're doing a great job, but they need to hear that more often. Because they put up with a lot of crap. So yeah, this is looking great. I hope it does really well. I think it'll make a lot of fans really happy with it. So anyways, I don't want to keep going. I know I've talked long enough. So thanks for watching this very long video, guys. I just wanted to put this out there for anyone who may have been interested. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in whatever next video I do. Bye.